Hey everyone, Pessmore here and welcome to Stafford Case. I'm not gonna say the full name. So now we start on case 3. The Wizard's Room. Yep. It's gonna be all about wait, what was his name again? Brian. Yes, Brian. Hey, Brian. I totally remembered you. That case finished up faster than usual. Indeed, the fingerprints on the incinerator played a critical role. I'm glad you came with me. But it was your choice to bring me along. Weren't you certain you'd need my skill after one look at the case file? You tend to overestimate my abilities, Detective Brian. The sergeant was away, so I had to choose between you and Detective Thena, and I couldn't pick her, right? Wow, that's mean. But kind of understandable. For your information, your conversation is being broadcast live to a certain Detective Thena. After all, Detective Thena has so much on her plate. But of course I do. Sorry I couldn't tag along, note. Good. I'm alive. For now. Wait a minute. I just realized. He said the sergeant's not there. I hope she's not dead. After what happened last time. Detective Brian, could you tell me in advance when you're radioing in? Haha, sorry about that. I'm known to keep my spork turned on whenever I'm working. These sporks the Bureau supplies to detectives. If you speak with the spork facing downwards, you can transmit to any other spork in your set. Honestly, it looks ridiculous talking to an upside down piece of cutlery, but the quality of the transmission is vastly superior to any existing walkie-talkie. I mean, yeah? But if you think about it, if a caveman were to be transported to that period of time and see a person talking to a walkie-talkie, the caveman would think that person is weird as hell. If you think about it. If it's in one hand and the sound is so crisp, you think the person was right next to you. It doesn't seem to have a range limit either, and the reason for that, these sporks we use. You said they were a manifestation of staff, right? That they are. It doesn't work through any mechanical means, but by a staff that shares sound, allowing for calls of such high quality. Skills, just like the staffers. Yet, unlike the staffers need a trigger. A trigger? Note, as you may know, most staffers are able to will their power forth whenever they wish to. However, since staff is inanimate, a certain condition must be met for the skill to happen. We call this condition a trigger. Damn, that's a really fancy spork. You know, I never in my life have I seen a metal spork. Have you? Like seriously, have you? Because sporks is like you know what? We don't want to give you a fork or fork and spoon separately. That's double the cost. Combine that shit. Yeah, that's what a spork is. And they make it plastic to make it even cheaper. Why make it metal? That defeats the purpose. Why am I thinking so deeply into it? In the case of our sporks, the trigger is the fork prongs pointing to the ground. When that happens, it uses its skill to share sound. A trigger like we're setting off a gun or something. I just realized, in case 2, the conversation in the car was about the meat, the creature meat, and then it became like the whole focus of the episode, and how that's a bad thing. Seeing how they're talking about the sporks and stuff, I think this is gonna be a segue into the whole episode about the evil of the bad. Like the creatures were experimented on. So, and then staffs. I think this chapter is gonna reveal some evil behind staffs, like the bad thing behind it. Yeah. Note: sometimes you ask rather obvious questions. Aren't you supposed to have learned all this in school? I don't think he went to school. I was right. I couldn't go to school. My hometown was a rundown backwoods town you can only see in Western movies. Wait, so you haven't been to a school, but you've seen a movie? Huh. I guess the priorities of that town you're in is pretty backwards, huh? Or understandable, I guess? I don't know. There was no one else my age in the whole town, so it would have made sense for them to have made a school. We had nothing resembling books either, so all I had to study was the local paper. Someone's looking for me. I joined the call. Right, of course. I see that the information you had on phenomena was scant. At best, since all you had to go on was what you were exposed to in your hometown. Indeed. And that's why I decided to come here and get a crash course in everything. Yet if you think about it the opposite way, you were able to reach the level you currently reside at from the worst of upbringings. After all, you've been able to solve these minor affairs cases after gaining a purely passable understanding of the phenomena in question. Again, don't overestimate my abilities. After all, I'm not even able to drive myself around yet. It's not that hard, right? I think we can make some time for driving lessons, don't you agree? To be honest, the hard part is parking. After that, you're good to go, okay? And shut up, I can't park. For shit, okay? It's just, I feel bad asking the sergeant to drive me around all the time. Hopefully she's still alive, and since I'm not a staffer, it's hard for me to solve cases by myself. I think you could manage. According to what I've heard at least. Is this foreshadowing to case 4? Is this foreshadowing? Heard from whom? Never mind that. But if you do think something to be difficult, do everything in your power, and then if you feel you need the help of a skill, simply call me in. You got your own work, right? So I feel bad calling you up at a time, all the time too. Think nothing of it. Consider me a handy tool you can call upon whenever you need. Huh? What exactly is that supposed to mean? You're right, that is a rather grandiose way of putting it, but if I might restate my point, I merely wish for you to trust me. Detective Brian, you have a habit of saying things in a rather unintelligible way, huh? And you have a habit of speaking too frankly at other times. Though it's not that noticeable when I'm put beside Detective Stina and the sergeant. Detective Brian is far from ordinary. Might I ask you a question? Right, of course. Why is it you don't have a driver's license, yet you have a license to operate heavy machinery? That's a bit of a long story. Hey, let me hear it. I guess I'm not too ordinary myself. I met a person who had a boat license and a car license before a bike license. And he was on his way to get a bike license. Certified GTA character, I guess. We're back. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Who are you? I mean, I have phlegm in my throat. Yeah. Actually, I do. Hey, Brian. You have a visitor. Hello. Aha, you arrived. I took everything you told me and organized it into this file. Wow, I had no idea you'd actually do that. Honestly, I was expecting to get nothing but a stern talking to. With this, you'll be able to go on about your daily life, but if you wish to attend a festival or the sort... No, this is quite enough. The past 6 months have been difficult without this. Thanks to you, sir, I can get on with my life. You have my gratitude. I hope to see you again if I have the chance. Well then, shall I make us a spot of tea? Spot of tea. To make the paperwork easier to swallow? Detective Cena? Who's that? A Stafford immigrant. No matter how hard life is here, there's no place with clearer regulations for staffers than London. Thus, it's quite common for staffers to immigrate here from abroad, and many staffers at cult threat level and above have no choice but to live here. Great! Keeping all the high-level power in one place. That doesn't sound safe. For many reasons. However, to engage in activities outside one's residence, it's required that the staff acquire something like a bureau file first, and if an immigrant isn't top priority for approval, that can take quite a long time. That's all quite unfortunate, but processing those files isn't Detective Brian's job, right? Brian must have seen that woman causing a scene this morning at the front counter on the first floor. Then what happened? What do you mean? That was the end of it. I'd wager Brian just offered to help out of the blue. This may be my own twisted morals here, but don't you think the kindness Detective Brian shows to those around him is a bit much? I don't think it's a question of twisted morals. I think oh man, should I even say this? I think the Buddha himself would turn his nose up at Brian's meddling. No matter who's asking, that man would take on the favor. Usually. Usually. Detective Brian? Could you clap for me? Like this? No, with more fervor. Fervor. Or could you go buy me some pastries? Note, what pastries would you like exactly? No way. I'll take a croissant. You get it yourself. That didn't work. Why didn't he listen to you? Call it karma. Does something happen to you in your past life? Indeed. It was when we decided to break things off between us. After that, I refused to fulfill a single one of Thena's requests. Wait, what? Ah, I see. However, what do you mean by broke things off? Did we not tell you before? We were dating! Wow, no! That explains That explains some things. But why? Ah, I see. I had no idea. Wait, what was that? They were dating? These two? Is such a thing physically possible? I mean, apparently not. You know, they stopped. That's how impossible it is. Even for Brian here, man. Imagine being such a specimen of a human being that you turn a yes man into, that you make a yes man say no, okay? Just straight up. To everything, okay? He's such a yes man to everyone but her because she's just that way, okay? How? What did she do? I don't want to know. I think we're gonna find out anyway, but yeah. But how? How? Oh my gosh. I'm extremely curious what happened between them, but since I can't be sure of all the circumstances, I shouldn't pry. You're alive! You're alive! Oh, you're alive! Oh, you're alive! I hope you're alive. You're not a copy, right? Yeah, you're not a copy, right? Yeah. Oh, you're alive. Please don't be a copy. Okay. New case. Suit up, everyone. What horrible timing. No, I think this is the opposite. Are all four of us going on this one? What sort of case do you have? I got a photo of the crime scene right here, but I must warn you it's quite gruesome. Come on now, Pandy. It's not as though we didn't see a holy shit! In the picture, that body... Indeed, it was sliced in half. Vertically at that. Ugh. The victim's name was Peter Miller. He lived out on Dartford Road, and he was a rather well-known staff collector. Wow. I sense it building up to a story about staff. How they're made and how immoral it is. The method is being made, how it's immoral. I can see it coming from a mile away. Unless I'm wrong. Which I hope I am, I want the story to be interesting. Wait, what? Okay, not bad. In the car again, yay! Detective Brian, could you elaborate on what we were talking about before? What we were talking about before? Ah, about the case. You must have not heard the sergeant's explanation before. No, it's about... I understand. The photo did a number on me as well. I imagine you must have had a hard time focusing. I mean, you're not wrong. I see. If I had to summarize it all... Oh, fuck. Wow. Our victim's name was Peter Miller. Rumor has it after retiring from the military, he amassed a considerable fortune by investing in an automobile company. Was it Toyota or Volkswagen? However, the reason his name spread through certain circles was because of his unique collection. He collected staff, right? Indeed he did. It seems that his collection contains a number of unauthorized staff that has not been inspected by the Bureau. Unauthorized? Only staff inspected by the Bureau and labeled with a threat level of Bowie or under may be purchased by private citizens. Owning staff with a certain level of Colt or above is a crime. Thus, our victim may have dangerous items in his collection that have never been inspected. It seems as though bribery was enough to keep it from the ears of the Bureau officials, yet his name is famous among collectors. Also, the victim was found splayed out this morning, just as he was in the picture. He was shown in front of the storage shed he keeps his collection of staff in. The first on the scene discovering the body was none other than the victim's wife, Ellie Miller. She's a staffer, but her threat level sits at the lowest at unarmed. She doesn't have a skill capable of slicing a man in twain. The hell does twain mean? Such a feat would be impossible with an ordinary object. Yeah, I guess so. However, the victim's collection, stored nearby the scene of the crime, is full of objects far from ordinary. Oops, wait, what? Oh, I didn't know you could do this. I keep forgetting about it. Considering the state of the victim's body, there was a high likelihood that the unauthorized staff for his collection played a part in the crime. This case would be centered around investigating the staff in his collection. I was actually trying to inquire about his relationship with Detective Thena. But he is correct in his claim that this is no ordinary case. It's clear that this is different from any case I've ever experienced. Let's get rid of these idle thoughts for now and focus on the case. After all, I am a detective. Were you perhaps not asking about the case, but talking about my relationship with Thena that we mentioned before? Well, if you're curious about that, it's not exactly a secret. Shall I fill you in? Yeah! Alrighty then. I'll tell you right after we've finished with our investigation. Why? Also, oh my gosh, I have something to say about the monocle being laterally inverted, but I won't say anything about that. After all, we arrived at the scene of the crime. Alright. To be perfectly frank, I had no idea you wanted to hear about it so badly. I imagined you wouldn't be all that interested. But I am! In fact, I found my interest to be growing recently. Their front yard is quite large. You can't be sure if all the rumors are true, but it certainly seems as though the one about them having a considerable fortune is correct. I don't think the size of the residence is of great importance. In fact, it reminds me of my childhood home. Is that so, Detective? Then you were born into money? Then his overwhelming kindness stems from some sort of noblesse oblige? I have no idea how to say that. Not that any of that matters with the situation as it stands. Perhaps the storage shed over there is our crime scene. It seems as though Sarge and Thena has beat us to it. Step lightly. After you. Oh my god. Ah, you're here. Sergeant, is this our crime scene? It is. You saw it from the picture before, yes? Yeah, though I'm trying to erase what I saw from my memory. I've seen mutilated and dismembered bodies before, but this is the first time I've seen one sliced through vertically. Did that mean she's seen one sawed in half horizontally? I mean, it is more common, you know? Like, horizontally, you have to go through the whole length of the body. That could be, like, more than a meter. But then horizontally, you know, it's just, like, one quick swoop, you know? Like, much less than half of the length of the body. Which way, unless he's fat, of course, but I'm assuming he's not fat. He has been in the military, okay? So it's just one fell swoop, okay? That's more common, you know? Even if it was a person who did this to a victim, cutting a body in half vertically would not have been easy. It's fair to say that there must be a reason for doing this to a body. There is something that caught my eye before. Maybe this balloon-like outfit the victim was wearing. It's a protective suit. I heard that he always wore that when he entered the storage shed where he kept his staff. That shows us just how dangerous the items here are. That's right. Let's begin our investigation here. Note, Brian and I will take care of investigating the area around the body. I'd like to get a trace photo and complete the memory survey at the same time. You think you can handle that? Sure, shouldn't be too difficult. Then we'll leave that to you. Let's get right to it. We've got at least 2 other places to investigate waiting for us. No secret stuff? Okay. Pretty old door. The house looks quite nice, so why not get a nicer door over there, over here? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. There's a sound here. The voice of a younger woman. A woman? That's probably the victim's wife. Can you make out what she's saying? She's angry at someone. She said, "You can live in there for the rest of your life." Then I hear a hard collision. You can live in there for the rest of your life. What's that supposed to mean? Sounds like a parent yelling at a child during their trip to the market, don't you agree? You think? I didn't have any parents to yell at me, so I would know. Yep, pulling the good old orphan card. Yeah, thanks, Note. Sorry, my mistake. Why is he apologizing? Bro, even I'd apologize to that. You just made things awkward. It's sad that you aren't more mindful of what you're saying. Is there anything at the corner? You know? Okay, no. This is horrible. Even without the body, just the trace left behind can help me envision the scene. Probably even more so because I got a good look at that picture before. Right, that. It was quite rough. Sorry about that. I thought it unfair that I'd be the only one to see it. Wow. Then it was intentional. I'll stop with the jokes. If the victim was wearing this during his final moments, there's a good chance his voice remains with it. If I read the memories it contains, I should get something. Whoa, the text was upside down. And? Is there anything left? I couldn't really tell what the victim was saying. All I got was the victim yelling at the top of his lungs about something in his final moments. Does that mean he got in a confrontation with someone? Or something? Even if it didn't, It hints that the victim knew his death was coming before it happened. Rather unfortunate, really. That is one word I was able to make out, though. Oh, there is, okay. What's that? There's evidence? I didn't even know. What's that? Clean. Clean? Yes, clean. What's that supposed to mean in all this? The scrap of clothing. It was his protective suit. It looks like he was wearing it. Now that you say it, it does have quite a lot of bloodstains on it. I'm not quite sure why this one is lying here, but this must be where he usually stores his protective suit. Ooh. That lines up with the memories I read. Seems as though the victim hated tidying up. It holds the memory of a jolt that feels as though it was tossed onto a chair or something. Feel like I could imagine that. Sort of jab. Yet, is there a problem? The way this protective suit seems to be tossed away seems a bit unnatural. It's like the victim was in the middle of putting on the suit when he missed a step and it was thrown off. I know my explanation isn't doing much to help you understand. So he tripped, or something. I must admit, it's hard for me to wrap my head around what you said. So maybe he was putting it on, and then his eyes were covered and shit, and then he tripped over something and then it went flying, you know? For now, let's write down that the movement felt unnatural. Alrighty then. And also, what happened to the suit all of a sudden? Did he do something to it? From the memories I received, it was as if it blew up like a balloon. I imagine it must have inflated to absorb a shock and protect its wearer. Sounds like one of those airbags you find in expensive cars, no? From the looks of it, it has been ripped in half, so he'd only hear the sound of all the air escaping. Even with such a function, I think it's safe to say it failed to protect the victim. Hey man, it can only do so much. The footprints left behind of the victim are from our victim and his wife, and also, the footprints from someone we don't have any information on yet, Sarge. We have an unidentified person. If it is a person. What are we supposed to do with that? What do you think? We'll leave the name blank and figure out who's the owner of said footprints. This is a good sign of things to come. We have a suspect behind our single witness. When were the prints made? Right at the stroke of midnight. Midnight? They were up in the middle of the night? Werewolf! People were out here that late? Is that everything? Note the documents. Here you are. Okay. For now, we have two items to focus on. The first is the people who visited the scene of the crime on the day in question. We have our victim, Peter Miller, his wife, Emmy Miller, and one more person we have yet to identify. The second item is the protective clothing. Somehow, half of it came to lie a distance from the body. But honestly, why did the victim need to wear a protective suit in the first place? This is his home, right? Perhaps entering the storage shed is dangerous. So he wears protective clothing to enter his own storage shed? It's not that note. It's not the storage shed we should be paying attention to, but the items contained within. Of course, the staff. The staff contained within that room is still unauthorized, which means we have no idea what skill each carries. We do know one thing though. At least one of the staff in there is dangerous enough to warrant wearing protective clothing. I see. Then let's get in there and start investigating. Without the protective suit that killed, the staff killed. I don't know. Without any protection, yes. Sure. If you have a death wish. Huh? Brian, explain it to him. I told you before, but every piece of staff has a certain condition. A trigger, which activates a skill. The moment we activate that trigger, intentionally or otherwise, we invoke the staff to use a skill. If by chance the trigger is activated by someone or something approaching, that staff could use its skill and someone could get hurt. I see. I didn't think about it like that. Leave this next part to me. My skill allows me to read trace from a distance. Huh? But what if the piece of staff is triggered by someone staring at it? Isn't it dangerous too? You could be right. In that case... Do you think you could keep sweeping your gaze around? Good idea. I'll give it a go. So note, if there's anything you'd like to investigate, just let me know. He looks like he's giving notes back shots. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you know. Yeah. Why did that come to mind? Why was that the first thing that came to mind? Yep. Now it's on your mind too. Brian giving note back shots. There you go. There you go. Thank you, or shall I say, you're welcome. What can I say, man? Yeah, even he's like, hey, yo, what the hell? Stop doing that. I don't consent. Well done, Note. Thanks to you, Brian will be safer than before. No, it's all thanks to your suggestion. Then we'll call it a team effort. For Detective Brian's sake, I better leave poking fun at him for later. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Floor! The only footprints inside belong to the victim. No, that's not right. I see prints for one more person. Whose are they? I don't know whose, but they're a match to the footprints we found outside the storage shed. Then our suspect entered the storage shed area as well? Rather sus, don't you think? When were the footprints left? Midnight, same as the ones out front. The owner of the footprints didn't stay very long. So at the time there was a third person on the premises. Are you sure it's a person? The death note! Okay, we're gonna investigate that last. It's a phonograph, right? It's the first time I'm seeing one in person. In a person's home. That's because this model comes with a particularly high price tag. I doubt it's just for listening to music. Since it's on display here, does it make it a staff? It's an antique, but I see the victim's handprints on it. Good you can see that so well, though we don't know what skill it carries. Is there no trace that stands out to you? I think there's one that strikes me as unusual, but I can't quite make it out. What's that? There's a small gap in the wooden parts of the phonograph. Really? I can't make that out with my eyes. It's quite small. I believe it will be hard for anyone to make it out without a skill. But the fact that it's a trace means that you can make the gap bigger. Could it perhaps be opened like a box? Now I feel like opening it. Four clues? 1, 2, 3. Where's the fourth? Oh, okay. Stop giving him back shots. Come on, man. This door has been taped open so it won't close. It seems it was taped open to keep the scene how it was found. The most recent print on the door was made by Ellie Miller, the person who discovered the body, right? This door, there's a bit of red on it. Is it some sort of marking? Yeah, but it's much more simple than the markings on the staff. Are these patterns supposed to mean something? Maybe they're spelling out a code. G, O, or is that a titty? I don't know. I mean, look at it! If you can see it from your phone. What is art exactly? I don't know, 3/4 of the word fart. That is quite the philosophical question. If you look deep into it, I guess. But if you were to give such a question its due, then that would require a great deal of time. How about we hold that discussion for next time? I'd rather not open that can of worms. Shall we call this thing a statue then? And since it's on display here, it's a staff? The hand is clutching a golden object. That could be interpreted a number of ways. That red pattern. I see a number of similar markings in here. What do they mean though? The lot behind the storage is overgrown with grass and weeds. It must be hard to maintain. If I were him, I would be worried that overgrowth might somehow find its way inside. Well, that's hardly our problem. Anything worth noting? That is rather surprising. I thought I might find the victim's footprints over there, but the only prints are from the victim's wife, Ellie Miller. Does that mean the victim's wife frequents this building too? That I can't tell you. Only the latest prints of her remain. The rest looks like were wiped away. That window's so small, it'd be hard for a person to slip in and out. Still, something about it bothers me. The Death Note! Oh my god! Time for a sequel! There's a black notebook over there. Is that a staff as well? Yeah, you write someone's name in it and they die! That's the trigger! You write someone's name in it! Thoughts on that notebook note? Well, it's on display, it's gotta be a staff. Is that all? Unlike the other staff in this room, there's no red markings on it. Or maybe there's somewhere we can't see? Could be. So that's notes on the... That was intentional! You knew what you were doing. F*** you guys. So that's... That's notes on the notebook for you. Yep. Aren't you holding back well? What do you mean? There are fingerprints on it, but they're different from the victim's and his wife's. I don't see anything that matches the documents you brought along either. Perhaps they were made by the same person who made the footprints? We could assume so, but there's something that concerns me about them. These prints were made at 1 a.m. The footprints outside were left at midnight. If the owner of the footprints touched that notebook, then our suspect was in here for over an hour. What was the person doing all that time? He was taking a chip and then eating it! I don't know. I never watched Death Note. I don't plan to, okay? I don't care how good you people say it is. I'm not watching it, okay? The time has come and gone, okay? What? Did my game jam? Oh, thank God it didn't jam. I was like, oh no. Oh. It's quite funny. I'm sorry, this is funny. See, look! Out of everything we've investigated thus far, oh. The most sus findings is the footprints of our unidentified suspect. There's nothing else that particularly stands out. There's one thing that bears remembering, though. There may be hints about the triggers somewhere. Just in case, I'll take a normal picture of the interior too. Pandy, help! I can't handle this by myself! Uh-huh. I had a feeling. You're such a meanie. I'll be right there, Cena. Hold on a bit longer. Sarge, speaking of Cena, where is she exactly? Ah, Cena's investigating a different crime scene. A different crime scene? Didn't I say before? There were 2 places to be investigated. One the interior of the shed, the other is elsewhere. But another crime scene? Isn't the body right there? Well, half of it is. Where do you think the other half of the corpse went? I don't know. I'm asking you. We have to climb up to the 2nd floor. Wherever we're going is far from the shed. Sergeant, this is the victim's home. Are you telling us the crime didn't happen in front of the shed? You two will see when we get there. It's too much of a chore to explain, so just follow me. Okay. This is the room. Our 2nd crime scene. At some point I was able to imagine what was behind the door before it opened. I could smell that familiar scent. The scent of blood. Whew. Wait, you can hide? Okay, I did not know that. You can hide. For some the UI, you know? In case you want to take some spicy screenshots, I guess. You know, for some reason, if you want a better look at this, you know, you can, yeah. Indeed, one thing's for certain, this is a crime scene. Is this the victim's bedroom? And that on the bed is... Oh my gosh, where did you come from? Right, this is where the other half of the body was found. Yep. It's shaped like a gun. Okay. I don't know, ever since I discovered this, yeah. Too bad you can't adjust the zoom. Like, adjust it. Detective Cena? I've been combing the area, doing what I can, but I have no idea what happened here. I imagine you two will see something else using your skills, right? Note, are you ready? Yeah, let's begin. The half of the corpse on the bed was moved 2 hours ago. That was probably when the police came to cart away the body. I apologize, but I think that's all my skill can tell you. Then I shall read the memories of this bed may have for us. Ooh. Oh. Sergeant, did you uncover something? Oh man, I did. But it wouldn't be right to go into details about it. Why is that? It's a matter of privacy in regards to the victim and his wife. Oh my god, they were fucking. What position? I mean, what? Let me try to like, you know, I have no idea. The sheets are too well made, so, maybe if I'm guessing Cowgirl? I mean, he had to be at the bottom. I'm guessing, Still, it was an unexpectedly rich piece of information to harvest. I'm sorry? Now we know there were no bad feelings festering in the bedroom. Oh, God. Okay. Okay. I knew it. Yes. I mean, I could go into the dirty details if you insist. Can you? No, thank you. Fuck you, pass. Fuck you. No, fuck you, okay? Why? If there was a DLC, it's like, Red Fins goes into detail of what happened in the room, like, for like $2, I'd buy it, okay? I'd buy it for, like, a couple of dollars. Like, I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. A clock. It's a pocket watch. Looks rather expensive, no? The fixer's fingerprints are all over it as well. Was it his? Considering the time of the last prints, he used it in the morning too. Then why is it here? True, a man normally keeps such a thing on his person. Hold on a minute, the hour hand is reading 7 hours too early. Is it broken? But you said it was just used this morning. Did someone mess with it on purpose? No, it's not that. It has no memories of being manually wound backward. Then is it really broken? What would have broken it? Okay, I'm over it. What was I going to do again? I forgot. Floor. Okay. Floor! There are footprints on the floor from both the victim and his wife. To be honest, I'd be pretty scared if there weren't any footprints left behind. That means they jump towards the bed. And then they jump out of bed, I don't know. That's odd. If this is where the murder occurred, you'd find the killer's footprints too. Even if this weren't the primary crime scene, you'd see footprints from whoever moved the body. If the wife were a criminal, that makes sense, but it's too early to say for certain. Yeah, since it's quite likely that the staff played a part in the murder, there's also the possibility that the body was moved through unusual means. Detective Brian's voicing his suspicions more than usual, though such action is rather natural for a detective. Drawer. Is there anything in the drawer? Oh my god! That one! I checked it out earlier, but only found an empty notebook note. Oh my gosh, they're not gonna stop saying that. They look so satisfied. We made no. We said like the word note like 10 times in the same sentence. Is it really supposed to be funny? I mean, once is fine. Twice, not really. 3 times. It's like the stepladder joke in case 2, Like, come on. I see. Again, doing well at restraining yourself. How have you been expecting me to react? Like me, I guess. Hold up, this notebook. The first page was torn out. They may have something important written there. Ooh, whoa. Whatever was on the page, it was there long enough that the notebook holds no memory of it. However, the page was torn out recently. If that's the case, I might be able to remake it with my skill. If I read the impressions on the page and trace them out, the writing from the page before appears, so she can use her skill like that too? Done. The part's written before. I see prices, people's names, so a receipt. How much money changed hands? 5,000? 5,000 what? Pence? No, pounds. What? You could buy a mansion for that much money. Was it a receipt for an estate sale or something? You'd be justified in thinking that, but something about such a huge sale being written out in a notebook feels wrong. Could I have a quick look at that? Here. The only prints left on the receipt belong to our victim. They're over 5 months old at that. So over 5 months ago, huh? Someone made a sale for something worth £5,000? That's right. And our other party was in the sale was Zadvring. Zadvring. I should remember the name. Wait, I should remember the name. Ooh. Shall we call it there? So, did you learn anything new? There are parts I find suspect, but the thing that bothers me most is the trace left on the floor. Indeed, you're talking about the footprints. You talked about them just a moment before, no? Which said it's suspicious? The victim's on his wife. The victim's or his wife's? That's not the issue here. The problem is that there isn't another set. What? The most remarkable feature of this case is the fact that the victim's body is in 2 different places. Why does this feel so familiar? Yet, if someone were to have picked up to move the body, you would expect to see trace evidence from that person. Aha! But we don't have any evidence that happened, right? There's no evidence of that entire way up here. At the very least, we can say for certain the body has moved up by no ordinary means. There's a good chance that the corpse was moved using one of the staff he's got displayed in the shed. In fact, I'm almost certain. As expected, we're going to have to know the skill of each piece of staff out there if we're going to solve the case. Tina, where's the victim's wife, Ellie Miller, being held at? For the time being, I told her to rest out in the garden. She doesn't seem comfortable setting foot in her house yet. I wonder why. A natural reaction, seeing her husband like that. Honestly, it could be my mom, my dad, anyone important to me. Or it could be just some random person. If I see like half of a body on my freaking bed in my house, I'd be sick, okay? I just want to stay outside. Unfortunately, we don't have time to wait for her emotional wounds to heal naturally. I say there's a good chance that the woman knows about the staff out there. As cruel as the presumption may be, she's a prime suspect for this. I'm going to investigate the neighboring rooms. You 3 head out to the garden and question Ellie Miller. You're going to investigate on your own? I am. However, I'd like you to check and see if there's any more sets of footprints outside, Brian. So we're splitting the investigation of the inside and outside between us. Understood. If the staff out in the storage shed was being used to kill the victim, our culprit was probably well versed in the skill each possessed. Ellie Miller. If she knows a lot about the staff out there, she might be the one. Detective Sina, what sort of person was the victim's wife? Well, I did get a small chance to talk with her, but I don't understand a word that's coming out of her mouth. Is it because she has yet to get over the trauma brought on by witnessing the crime? She looked like she was holding herself together at first glance. I had enough of this! If you like that place so much, you can live in there for the rest of your life! Hey, do you think the person shouting over by the storage shed is... I take back what I said about her holding it together. Maybe it's the phonograph. Oh. Pardon me, but could you step back a bit? This area is still dangerous to be loitering around. Are you another one from the Bureau? Miss Ellie Miller, I presume. What were you saying just a moment ago? Whatever do you mean? Just a moment ago, we heard... I have no idea what you're implying. That's because you didn't let me finish. To be frank, Mrs. Miller, call me Ellie. To be frank, Ellie, we have a few questions we'd like to ask. And as my colleague said, this place is dangerous, so how about we sit down and have a chat elsewhere? Would you like to? We have a table and some chairs set up at the east side of the garden. Shall we head that way? Whew, sounds good. Detective Brian, has anything been moved? I checked, but I didn't see any trace of the sort. Seems as though she was just yelling for yelling's sake. You think so? So what is it you wish to ask about? We have some questions regarding the staff in that shed we were just in. I do apologize, but I don't know much about my husband's collection, so I don't think I'll be of much help. We're not looking for a professional opinion or anything. Even the most basic of information would be a good start. I'm terribly sorry, but I don't know the first thing about staff. Yet it was your husband's hobby to collect it. Are you certain you know nothing of it? Perhaps the two of you... Have you ever been married, sir? Me? No. Then consider this a learning opportunity. The key to a happy marriage is keeping your nose out of your spouse's affairs. Really? I don't know. I haven't been married either. Do I even have hope for that? Huh? Wouldn't most people say the opposite? Even in marriage, a relationship is between two separate individuals. Once the two come to live together, they begin to show each other all the unpleasantries they were able to keep hidden when they were courting. As they do, all the affection they have pops up like a bubble. I don't know. Well, I can't say anything about it because I kind of witnessed it firsthand, so, out of all those unpleasantries, nothing is more off-putting than a husband's crazy hobbies. Before stuff, it was rare minerals, and I thought I was going to lose my mind with how he would go on and on about them all day. Hey, at least he didn't collect Pokemon merchandise. It could have reached that level of, I don't know, how would you say it? How would you say it? I don't know. What's she pointing at? That's when I put my foot down. I made the decision that personal hobbies will remain just that, personal. Thus, it's quite the given that I know nothing of staff. After that decision, my husband and I grew closer. Yeah, you did. Others grew envious of the harmonious marriage we were able to maintain. Do you see now? I get your point that you know nothing about staff at least. It's partially your fault she went on like that note. She lost her husband today. You have to consider a person's emotional state before you toss out your questions. Right. She doesn't seem to be grieving all that much. Well then, could you give us a statement regarding the time and circumstances for your coming upon the body? I know it'd be hard for you, but it would be a great help. A statement? I already told you everything to your colleague here. Huh? Was that what you were talking about? I was listening, but... Isn't there anything new you'd like to add? No. I told you everything. I witnessed at the very moment my husband died. Detective Cena, why didn't you share such an important piece of evidence with us? About that, you'll understand when you hear from her. Then there's a reason behind your actions. Ma'am, I'm sorry to be such a bother, but could you repeat everything you told her for my sake? If I must, listen more carefully this time. Speech review. I was having a conversation with my husband in front of the shed at 5 o'clock in the morning. My husband, as usual, was inside. I didn't bother to go inside, choosing to lean on the door instead. We finished our conversation, and just as I was turning to leave, I heard my husband call to me with great urgency in his voice. I turned back to him. Why is everything... Oh my god, maybe it's your emotional state. Maybe it's your emotional state, you know? And there he was, in such a state. Here, her testimony. That was one doozy of a statement, and every word of it was accompanied by abnormal heartbeats. She seemed so composed, but she's really shaken up about this. It was her husband who died after all. It's no wonder such a statement came as such a shock to you, Detective Stina. Told you. Perhaps it's the trauma brought on by witnessing what she did that's distorting her memories like that. But with staff playing a role in this case, even such a statement cannot be ignored. Besides, we can't say for certain she's not feigning insanity. True, I've seen my fair share of statements that don't make such much sense in the cases I've taken thus far. But there is a possibility she's speaking utter nonsense, right? If that's the case, we would need to find out whether she spoke the truth or not, right? To start, shall we take a closer look at the statement? Making use of her abnormal heartbeats is a big ask, but if it finds something odd about it, there's a good chance the whole statement is false. Oh, okay. I did not expect that to be it, but okay. Miss, you said you didn't go inside the shed, right? How? I don't see how she would go in, honestly. Unless she's Jackie Chan. That's right. He was always telling me not to frolic about in there. As if I had any interest in looking at the items he had stored inside. That's odd. If that's the case, how did your fingerprints get on the inside of the window of the shed? Nah, I believe you got the wrong idea. I'm sorry. I'm sure my fingerprints were on the window, but I didn't step foot in the shed to make them. Would you like to explain how that might be? If possible, with an official statement. No, it's not so convoluted as to require a statement. A rather upsetting event occurred last night, so I woke up this morning and decided to clean that old shed. Not the inside, of course, but the outside. Ah, He cleaned the inside of the shed every day, but why couldn't he have bothered to clean the windowsill? I couldn't stand to see the layers of filth that he let build up. I couldn't stand it any longer, so I gave the window a good cleaning, glass and frame. I even reached inside to get the inside sill, which is always natural for my prince to be inside. But then he had the nerve to get all angry about what I did that, which led to this small argument. After that, well, I told you what happened. Note, what do you think about the statement? You think she was telling the truth? Do we have any clear evidence to support Miss Miller's claim that she did clean the shed? Yeah. Oh man, I'm getting so tired. I'm making so many reading mistakes. I think her statement may be true. And why is that? I imagine Detective Brian will know why that is. When the sergeant conducted her memory survey, there was a memory left over of the victim yelling, right? That does ring a bell. Ah, I see. And there was a single word she was able to make out. Right. Clean. The victim got angry that Miss Miller went and cleaned the room without asking him. Acting like a teenager going through puberty, if you ask me. This clue, it fits with her claim that our victim barred his wife from entering his storage area. I really don't get it. If two people are in love, wouldn't they want to share more about themselves? I mean, he is in bed, you know. No. Love and independence are two very different things. I read that in a magazine. I still don't get all that, but if the victim lashed out, I understand why Miss Miller didn't know anything about staff. That's as far as we can trust Miss Miller's statement, though. I have no choice but to doubt what comes after. Then we're in a bit of a pickle here. Ah, Sergeant. She knows nothing about the staff in there, and her statement is garbage. In conclusion, there's no information to be gained from Ellie Miller. So what now? We're out of places to investigate too. We have two options open for us. One would be to hand this off to materials. Materials? That's a department of the Bureau that specializes in analyzing staff. After all, it's dangerous for us to go poking around such a bunch of unauthorized staff where we don't know what skills they hold. It would be easier to leave that to the professionals. I sense a choice coming. But if we do that, this case will be completely out of our hands. No matter what information materials may glean off of the case, it will be property of the Bureau. We won't see staff being mishandled again, but the information they cover will never see the light of day, meaning no one involved will know what happened. Not the best of choices was the other option. We question someone else who may know something about the staff the victim possessed. Do we have someone we can question? The victim kept everything a secret from his own wife. Well, what do you think, Note? Someone who might know about the staff the victim had in his possession? Do we have any information on such a person? Oh, I did not expect it to be right. Someone who might know about the staff on display. I think I can think of one person. I wonder if it's the same person who did all this. Oh ho! Of course he can! Who is it? I don't know. But that makes all the more That makes it all the more suspicious. Eh? Of course, the other set of footprints left inside the storage shed. That's right. Besides the victim's footprints, we found one more set of unidentified prints inside. True, but how do you know this person knows enough about the staff? The victim barred his wife from entering his storage shed, which is why her footprints are nowhere to be seen. But our unidentified person's prints are all over the inside of the building. And there he goes. Approaching staff without knowing its skill. That's incredibly risky. If there's someone willing to approach the staff on display without a moment's hesitation, it's incredibly likely that said person knows about the staff's skills. And fade to black. Well, I'm sensing a formula here. So basically they talk about, something that seems kind of unrelated to the case or story as a whole. Like in case 2 was the creature meat in the car. And then in case 3, it's about staff. And then the following case is about said thing. So it's gonna explore what's gonna happen. So the creatures, it was exploring about how immoral things were done for the research on creatures. Experimentation, basically. Animal cruelty. Or creature cruelty? I'm not sure what this case will be about. I'm sensing it may be about staff gaining sentience. Or staff having a mind of its own, having feelings, or staff about how the staff is made and how immoral it is. Maybe the immoral experimentation on staff. So yeah, I'm not sure. And also, I'd like to say I thought Red Fins would be dead. Okay, I thought she'd be dead. I'm glad she's alive. Or maybe she's just a fake. I don't know. Anyway, I hope she stays alive. I hope everyone stays alive. Yeah. If not, who's gonna drive Note? Oh yeah, the Note joke. Haha, Note, empty notebook, no. Yeah, it's getting old, okay? First time, meh. Second time is less meh. What do you think the third time is gonna be, huh? Blech, that's what it's gonna be. Anyway, not much to say. Thank you so much for watching my playthrough of Stafford Case. And if you like what you see, stay tuned and stay awesome. Good night.